Bum, 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 do, do, do. Oh my goodness. There is a blessing for wine that has a twist off top. It's just easier to drink. Let's go ahead and call that what it is. All right. Okay, Gwendolyn. Let me see if I can get myself together. Make sure I get myself together. And we are going to get this recording done. All right. Hello and welcome to Ladies Listen Up. I am your host, Gwendolyn, 𝐔𝐬𝐿, and this is our recap show. This is a recap show, and I am proud to say it's a season 2 recap show. Like, we've gone through 2 seasons now, 2 seasons of having some authentic conversations. And as we look back on season 2, I want to cover a few things. Let's do that, shall we? First things first, let me get the thank yous out the way, because putting together projects like this, they don't come from just nowhere, right? Like, people have to bless you with their time. And so I must say thank you to Joe, Peggy, Aicila, Dr. Dale. I gotta say thank you to them for giving me their time, but more importantly, also sharing their story and their experiences and their knowledge with all of you. Because yes, I could probably talk about a few things, but then I come to realize not one of us has experienced every single thing. Not one person. So when you bring in individuals to share their expertise, it just adds this other layer of authenticity to your creative projects. And for that, I have to thank them. Now, second, clearly, I have to thank all the viewers, all the people who have supported this show, and all of those who comment and share their thoughts, and of course, our Friday night interactive chats. Gotta thank all of those people, because when we talk about having these authentic conversations, they only happen if you have somebody to talk to. So we need to have people to talk to, but I have to thank them as well. Before I take a sip, because I know I'm sipping on this, I also want to reflect on that I have not on air for this show had anything to drink, but I often see myself sitting down with a couple of girlfriends, some family members, and having something to drink. Now, I just happen to enjoy a little wine or a little moonshine. If it's really bad, we get something else, but sometimes it's also just sparkling water. Like, it doesn't have to be an alcoholic drink. It could be non-alcoholic as well. But it typically is. If we're gonna sit and have a conversation, then I need to know what I'm preparing myself for and provide the appropriate necessities, if I will. Yeah, necessities. Let's say it like that. All right, so let's continue, shall we? And I'm actually using I'm going digital today because I know, as I mentioned last time, I don't use scripts, but I like to use a couple of notes to remind myself of what I want to talk about because I don't want to forget anything, right? And I know there's a lot that I could speak about, but I want to make sure I cover some very specific topics before I get into what's going to happen for next season and why this is the background. So season's two theme was focused on unapologetic conversations. That was the theme for last season. We started season 1 with just recognizing who we are and defining who we are. Because you got to have a start. Like there needs to be a start somewhere. And now we're at a place where we have started it, but now it's time to really get raw and have a different conversation. Truly get into it. So of course we opened the season talking about sex. We went on to talk about emotional intelligence, authenticity and a guest filter, when religion goes wrong, choosing yourself, the importance of platonic love in all relationships. And we also had a place where we need to be honest about our finances. So when we say we don't want to apologize for having this conversation, I really do mean that this season, as I read my notes here, it was about the continuation of the self-growth. Last season, we just got to a place where we at least recognized that the program that we had been served for so many years, it was no longer serving us. So now it becomes what's next. That's the next question is, okay, well, what's next? Because I'm trying to find out, I use the word try because it's a journey. I'm trying to find out who I am. I want to find out what I stand for. I need to reevaluate how I love myself. Like all these questions were there. But there's this whole other layer of programming that we just don't want to talk about. Like, so when we talk about sex, it is primarily at the focus of pleasing your partner, i.e. a woman pleasing her partner. It is never about the person who is receiving. It's never about our level of joy or pleasure. It comes across more as a job. And it shouldn't be. Every single person in this world deserves pleasure, and sex and pleasure don't always have to go together. Food gives me pleasure. Wine gives me good wine, gives me pleasure. Chocolate, bacon. I love a good crispy bacon. And I know it's off topic, but I had this slab of bacon wrapped in cotton candy. Oh my goodness. Yes, so pleasure isn't always tied to sex. But I get that our society says that, right? So let me share a quick clip of our dear friend Joe having a chat with me about sex.
Stereotypes around Black women and sex, and you go into that.
Yeah, like I always call it the whole tape, right? So I have this theory of there's a whole tape that plays in the heads of like Black girls and Black women as they are blossoming and coming into themselves. And that whole tape could sound like anybody. It could sound like, your church mother. It could sound like your real mother. It could sound like other women in the community who are constantly judging you, right? Oh, look at how you're dancing. You're dancing like a whore. Look at, you want to wear red lipstick. Oh, those jeans are too tight. I mean, it's just like these random things that automatically move you into being what we call, in the Black community, like a hoe, and so it's this whole tape.
if there's anything that I love about my friend Jo, my best friend Jo, is that she is the pleasure activist. I admire how she is doing the work to make sure that she is receiving all the joy and the pleasure that she needs, wants, and deserves. Like, that's awesome. And more of us should probably work towards that. You know what I mean? More of us probably should. And in terms of working towards that, it requires some self-awareness. I have been known to share time and time again that I know my good parts, I know my bad parts. I do not fool myself in thinking that I am removed from being no, I don't want to say I'm never really a jerk per se, but I can be a smart ass. Okay, I can be a little smart ass. I know it. I know myself. So in continuing our conversation about emotional intelligence, we invited Dr. Dale to share her expertise with us. Let's check it out.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
right here, right now. It is over.
And it's kind of
Oh my
it's so sad, Gwendolyn, because it's so sad that all these years you just and the thing about it is that I had somebody that quit from my company that I work at because I'm in my mental health space, and that person has been there over 30 years, and they have been stressed, and that person said when they walked away because of the manager that they reported to was just toxic, they said, look, the stress is, you don't know the stress you're putting your body through. And the thing is, there's a book out there called Your Body Keeps Score. Your body will not live, whatever emotion you put your body through, it will not live rent free. It's going to come to collect.
Ooh.
Now, I just want to say this. All of these beautiful ladies who brought their time and expertise to the Ladies Listen Up stage, you want to connect with them. They have buckets of information available to you. So we'll be sure to share their social media links in the description. So please connect with them. And the next person that we talked about when it came to emotional intelligence and just being aware was Peggy. Now, Peggy, for the very first time, shared her story of spousal abuse and how religion can truly go wrong. I have made my position known on organized religion. I am spiritual, trust. That part is done. I'm not down with organized religion. And it bothers me how so many people who someone has given power to use religion to power over and also hurt others. I have a problem with that, in case it wasn't obvious. And when Peggy shared her story, left me speechless. 30 minutes really wasn't enough for us to get her story, but let me share a little bit of that.
Going on. And so that's when I started really questioning, like, what is going on here? And in 2002, early 2002, was the worst abuse to date. He actually took a rifle and shoved it down my throat and said he was going to blow my brains out, and then turned it on him and said, "Oh, you want me to do this?" And then instead took the not the barrel, the arm piece or whatever, and hit me in the face and dislocated my skull, broke and dislocated my skull, gave me a severe concussion and whiplash. And about that same time, he had punched our oldest. And that was the first time he'd ever been physical.
When I look at women like Peggy and others who may have something similar, I think about the level of resilience that is there. It takes a lot to go against what you've always known. It is not easy to walk away from what is comfortable. But to realize that she did it and to see her now thriving, oh my goodness, it's more than inspiring. Absolutely more than inspiring. And so what it reminds me of is that we can choose ourselves. We can make choices for ourselves. And when we talked about you can choose, that was at the forefront of that thought for me. Take a look.
Two things that I thought were interesting and said, that's my major. That's what Gwendolyn decided to do. And then I got into it. Oh, yeah. You know what's funny is when you take on the dreams of other people, when you put them on your shoulder, it can really weigh you down. And I realized soon after arriving at NYU, one, I'm not a marketing person. I am not Blue Suit. I am not IBM. And it was very Blue Suit and IBM. I was not liking the future path for Gwendolyn. I wasn't liking it. And I said, okay, speech communication, I enjoyed. Right? The rest of it, not so much. And I said to myself, you have choices here, kid. You can either keep going to this very expensive private school, or you can do something different and go against the grain and change your major. And I did it.
Now, our continuation with authenticity, and it's so funny because there are people in this world who are walking around with a full-on mask, which, you know, everybody has their situation, so God bless them. We are not judging that at all. But there is a way to show up as your authentic self and still wear a filter. And that's when we decided to invite Aicila to come in and share her story of how she is managing family relationships where they're not always seeing eye to eye. Let's take a look at that.
Slide into people pleasing or caretaking, partially because I do feel that strong desire to be of service to others in my community. And I don't want that to, I'm not interested in letting that go. However, what you said earlier about the spotlight, I feel like it, you know, the people pleasing, the caretaking can be like a fear response or an ego thing. And so constantly recommitting to what is my value here? Where is this place of service? Am I putting myself into this in a way? Because that's not joy to me, right? But it can be an easy thing to fall into. And I had a realization as well that, you know, if I don't prioritize my life, no one else is going to. Like, it's actually my life. I am the one that has to be in charge of making it a priority. And it's hard sometimes. You know, I had little kids, and I will, in this life as women, we get an expectation that, once again, if you.
So those relationships, you know, when it's your blood, especially a parent, that can be hard. I won't even pretend to know what that feels like. I know for our family, watching our kids be who they are, it's good to see. It warms my heart to see. But I can't imagine a parent not accepting. I can't, and then I can't. I do know, and I will not share it today. But I do know the extent when a grandparent is not accepting, which can still have the same impact. But we will share that later. Let me not go there. Not gonna do it, not just yet. But I do want to continue talking about relationships. And I invited my dear friend Joe. Literally, we have been friends for a long time. A very long time. She's got stories on me. Woo, she got some stories. But I invited her back to talk about the importance of platonic love and our friendships. And she did not disappoint. Let's take a look back at our conversation.
You were getting married. I was coming out of an engagement and breaking up from a relationship. And that could have been a very difficult time. of me supporting my friend.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that happens in platonic relationships, right? Like you see your friend moving forward and doing some of the things that you've wanted to do in your life, and receiving the kind of love and care that you want to receive. And there can be moments of like jealousy.
Yeah.
Luckily I was just, if if you know Gwendolyn at all, she's a hard nut to crack. So seeing her in love and so bubbly,
Oh
and
my God.
seeing this like light and shine on her, there is no way that I could say that I love her and not fully support and encourage that in any way possible. And so but
when I say she has stories, and it's beautiful that we can have a relationship that has spanned years, decades, and it doesn't come lightly. Because I have let go of some. I've let go of some relationships, some connections, because the values were not aligned. And so when we talk about choosing yourself, there's some special words. It's called no. Some of us have a hard time using it, but it's not saying no to other people. It is saying yes to yourself. And let's take a quick reminder of what that conversation was about.
That never wavered, never faltered. There was never, ever a question in my mind that was going to happen. I don't know about the dudes I was dating. I can't tell you anything about them. I'm sure somewhere in their head they thought, I can sweet talk her and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be the guy. Yeah, that's a no. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a no, and that's a no that I'm standing on to the end of time. It is a no. So that I didn't have a problem with. Funny enough, I didn't have a problem because when I look at the exchange rate, it was exchanging the life I wanted, the future I wanted, with what could be. And I'm not a gambler. I mean, I talk about winning the lotto, I never play. How's that going to work out, right?
So before we let the season go, we want to come to a place of honesty. And financial infidelity is a problem in a number of relationships, right? It's up there. It's one of the reasons why people get divorced. And so I thought, let's be honest about our financial situations. Let's do that today. And we had a quick conversation about the coins. Let's revisit.
I ate up every moment of going to Lord & Taylor and Marshall Fields, and it was beautiful. And I couldn't help but get myself a Neiman Marcus card. Not gonna lie about it. I loved being in the In Circle. Loved going to those fashion shows. I was working part-time and in college, but wearing DKNY, buying Prada bags, all kinds of Prada accessories. Like, we were in the mix, faking the funk, living way, way beyond my means. And I'm not even going to mention the American Express gold card I had. I'm not going to mention that. Okay. Here's the story. You live and you learn. Now, my dad was clear when those credit card bills were coming in. He was like, you only need one credit card. Why do we have all these credit cards?
So this season, when I talk, I love saying we, just in case you hadn't noticed. It's a thing. Work with me. Just work with me. But when I talk about unapologetic conversations, it is getting honest, letting go of the bullshit, and owning our stuff. Like, own your foolishness. Own it. And there's a certain level of self-awareness that comes with that. And it does not happen overnight, where you're not going to say that. But at some point, you don't have to. Clearly we're grown. We don't have to do anything we don't want to do. But at some point, if you are wanting to make the change, and you are looking for that next level of whatever, you're going to have to sit down and own some of it and say, okay, why are we here and how did we get here, right? Like that has to happen. So in preparing for season 3, there's a reason why, again, this environment is what it is. But let me talk to you about TGIFF. That G is Fire Fridays. Okay, so Friday, I don't know, somehow or another, Friday became my day. And for those of you who don't know, I have a live show on my channel, Fridays, called Girl, Listen. And it's my soapbox moment to just release all of the ideas that come into my head. Like, as I'm out and about, I observe other people. I had it as a job, so I can't help it at this point. But I look at human behavior and the things we say, and I just start getting these question marks. And a lot of times those are those taboo topics that we don't want to talk about. But it's where I start my Friday. And it just so happens that Ladies Listen Up also airs on Friday on Indie Suit Media. And so I went from doing it every other Friday, because my first season, I was every Friday. Y'all, I was talking like 3-4 hours a week. It's a lot. It is a lot. So I said, let me just scale it back. And then I realized I can make this work. So Fridays start here on my channel. And then Friday evenings, I was hopping over to Indie Suit Media. And we were in the interactive chat, chatting with the viewers for Ladies Listen Up. Well, it just so happens that the replay is now on Indie Suit Media. So we have a full hour and a half of Gwendolyn and all her foolishness available Friday night. So I thought, well, I need something to bring this all together. And I thought, well, instead of Thank God It's Friday, is that G is Fire Fridays, TGIFF. And it does start. So 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. We are on my channel. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern, we hop over to Indie Suit Media. We do a replay of Girl Listen. And then we also get that fresh episode of Ladies Listen Up. And it has been awesome. Like, it's been awesome. So will I have shirts made? I don't know. I probably should get shirts made, right? I probably should get shirts made. It's the same way that, I have my wine glass, my LLU wine glass. So as I am talking and watching Ladies Listen Up, yes, sometimes I do have off to the side after I'm done filming something to drink. So what can I tell you? But let's talk about season 3. Because that's where we are, right? You're thinking to yourself, okay, why are we in this weird place and not at the desk? Let's get into what season 3 is going to offer. Let's go there. Okay, so I thought about my background, and I love my home office. It has a lot of space for me to work. One of my other jobs, my other outlets for helping people and inspiring others is a photographer. And so in this room, there is a place to record and a place to work on photography, portraits, things of that nature. I got my library here with all my books, all my Octavia Butler books, all books, right? And I thought to myself, for season 3, I want to make sure, I want to go to a place of, let's get real intimate. And so I decided to invite everybody into my home. Now, if you were to ever come to my house and we were having a conversation, you would be invited to the dining table. And the dining table is where I typically put together a spread, some sort of charcuterie board, or some nibbles of some sort, because if you're vegan, we're not going to do that. We'll do something else. But I will have your drink of choice, sparkling water, tea, macchiato, wine, whatever. And we just vibe out. Like we just sit and we talk. And for women, when we talk about relationships, sitting and talking typically in my household happened at the table. Like when I was a kid, if my mother or father invited you into the kitchen table, oh, you were in like Flynn because now you family. Like there's nothing like being invited to the kitchen table because that says I have arrived. Now, I know a lot of folks nowadays don't have kitchen tables. God bless them. Gwendolyn has a dining table because I like to entertain, and I have the kitchen table. And the kitchen table was also the place where my parents handled the finances. That's where I watched my mother and father balance the checkbook, look at the bills, review XYZ. Now, I don't do mine at the kitchen table, okay? I do it here in the home office, but you know, we're talking 1975 house. Ain't nobody, and I say ain't nobody had a home office. Like we had what we had, right? So this season, it is about me sharing more of my story and how I got to be where I am, and really focusing on the fact that some of us, in the midst of doing all this work, we feel as if we're not ready yet. We're not worthy of anyone's love and attention, including our own, because we're still so broken, so jacked up, but we are worthy from jump. Like the moment you open your eyes another day, you are worthy, right? Like that's where we are. So this season, the background will be various spots in my home. You will be at the dining table. We will be at the kitchen table. We're going to talk about a number of topics. And of course, I have a sneak peek. Roll it, Gwendolyn. Of hearing a message, hearing a lie that they now have to tell themselves that's not real. I mean, hello, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, hello. Let me jump forward. Here's the point. What we need to recognize right here today is that the state that you're in, I don't care how badly bruised you are, how broken you are, how resilient you may be, all of those things. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Understand that even in the state that you're in this moment, you are worthy and have always been. Season 3. I'm actually excited for season 3. I really am. Obviously, I already have ideas for what season 4 will be about. But if I do nothing else, because a lot of us see people and we assume we understand their story, their struggle. I shared a clip of something on TikTok, and I shared all over, like TikTok, YouTube, whatever. But the person made a comment on TikTok that I made a comment that my dad said, all money's not good money, right? All money's not good money. And I stand on that. I stand 10 toes down, 10 toes. All money's not good money. And this person said, you've never experienced poverty. Otherwise, you wouldn't say that. Yes, I have. I have experienced. So I am sharing my story of how I got to where I am, what my journey is, because you're never done. Like the travel is never done until these eyes no longer open, until the last breath in my lungs is gone. The journey is still happening. It is still happening. And I am excited to be taking this journey with all of you. So I hope, no, hope is not a strategy. It's merely a wish without a plan. I am inviting every single one of you to show up for the premiere, the season opener for season 3 on Indie Soup Media. We are still Friday nights at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. It will be TGIFF. That G is Fire Friday. So you want to tune in on my channel, get a little something started, and then we'll hop on over to Indie Soup Media. You should get like something to enjoy yourself. I didn't do any confetti, but I do keep confetti close. I do. Perhaps for the season opener, I will do some confetti. Maybe. I gotta time that out. Decisions. Until then, enjoy your day. And we're about to get really honest. Oh, and leave your shoes at the door.